Okay. So, good morning, everyone. Today we are going to continue the food control system lecture. So I will just ask you to mute the speakers while explaining. And whenever you want to speak, you turn on the speaker, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, great. So, as we mentioned before, a food control system is very important to implement a food law. So I guess that we reach almost the slide 30, but I will just like summarize what we talked about last time. And I will basically summarize by using this scheme, the scheme that shows the 4 different departments of any food control system. So what are the different departments of a food control system? So we start first of all by the food laws and regulations. So it's very important first of all to enact a law or a regulation, because if we don't have a law or we don't have a regulation, we cannot implement a food control system. Number 2, Riham, just mute yourself please. Into Farah. Okay, so after enacting laws and regulation, we need to have an inspection department services, because the inspection department services will go on site and they will observe and do some examination, okay, to check whether the system is being conformed to the regulation or not. Number 3, the observation and the analysis that should be done by the inspection service is not enough by itself, because we need also to be equipped with laboratory capacities, enabling us to analyze through advanced techniques. So that's why laboratory services is the 3rd department. And number 4, information, education, communication, and training. So we have to keep in mind that the inspectors should also train people and educate them from one side, and from the other side we need to know also that we can ask for expertise to sort out some issues, especially in certain specific fields. Okay, so I think that we reached last time slide 30, so I will go directly to slide 30 and continue the lecture. So what are the components of a food control system? So first of all, we have the food control management. So we should have a managerial level that will take in charge managing the 4 other different departments. So managerial level, and then we have the 4 departments: laws and regulation, inspection services, laboratory, and information, education, communication, and training. So at the level of the managerial level, it's very important to have an integration approach between the stakeholders, okay? So what does it mean, stakeholders? Who can tell me who are the stakeholders? Girls, can you hear me?
The shareholders.
Who are the stakeholders? Can you give me examples of stakeholders?
Business owners.
Okay, مين كمان؟ So stakeholders, yes Rana.
الفارمرز يعني any company related تعمل بالبزنس of food يعني كلهم.
Exactly. So stakeholders, it covers all the parties involved in the food safety system and in the food chain from farm to fork. So basically it involves the farmers, it involves the industrials, it involves the ministries, it could involve as well research scientists working in the field of food safety, Libnar definitely, okay? So at the food control management, it's very important to ensure a proper coordination between the stakeholders, and we should put in place or establish a policy. This policy should definitely help us in implementing better the integrated, we say, integrated national food control strategy. Okay, so why integrated? If I ask you why integrated, because it should be integrated between the different stakeholders. And why it's important to make a system based on the opinion of all the stakeholders, because every single stakeholder has his own experience in this field and has his own output. يمكن مرات حدا يقول إنه we are not able to cope. You can all see the slides except Azza. So Azza is saying that the slideshow is not showing. You can see the slides. So Azza, you have to check why you are not able to see the slides, because the other ones, they can see the slide. Okay. So you can see as well that I underlined the term integrated, right? Okay, so integrated, when we say integration, it's very important to make sure that all the stakeholders are being involved. Because if you will establish a food control system and some of the stakeholders, they are not approving this system, automatically later on you will face difficulties in implementing the system. So the food control management, this managerial level, will make the system operational. يعني will make the system working, being implemented, and following up with the operation of the national food control system. So what is the role also of this managerial level? To secure funds. Why do we need funds? To equip the laboratories. We need funds to train the personnel, to train the inspectors. So definitely we need more funds. And they will also work on assisting the Department of Laws in enacting standards. So as we checked in the previous slide, so we have the food control management, and this food control management, okay, will take in charge the 4 different departments: inspection, laboratory, laws and regulation, and communication. And they will take in charge communicating, for example, with the Codex, with the WHO, with the FAO, with the UN, with all the organizations, whether they are NGOs or international organizations, to see how to assist the 4 other departments. So this is how they help in setting standards and regulation. They will participate in international food control activities, okay? So they will represent, let's say, Lebanon. If we will be having later on a food control system authority, so they will represent Lebanon and the international food control related activities. And definitely they can develop emergency responses procedures as a response for a recall, for example, and they can carry out risk analysis. So with respect to the laws and regulation, we mentioned last time that a law is different than a regulation, okay? Which one cannot be updated? Okay, so I will do a poll. Which one cannot be updated? A, law, B, regulation.
Law.
الريجوليشن can be updated. غلطت اللو is fixed. احنا فينا نغير بالregulations.
So now can you hear me? Now can you?
Yes, doctor, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Like, we were mentioning that a law cannot be updated, but a regulation or a standard can be updated, okay? So here we have to know that while talking about laws and regulation, we need to split them. We say laws and regulation are legislation. So they are part للدستور, legislations, okay, للتشريعات. But a law is under the umbrella of what is called the primary control. So a law cannot be updated. It cannot be changed. A law contains all the big titles, the broad titles, the main objectives. However, the implementation of a law will be through different regulation or standards called secondary control. Okay, so this is why we have what is called the primary control and what is called secondary control. So what does it cover exactly, the law? So the law, as I mentioned, covers the basic principles with no details. So the basic legal definitions, the responsibilities for implementation. So for the ones who already checked the draft of the Lebanese food law, you will see that there is a specific section mentioning the responsibility of every single ministry and how to assign tasks and responsibilities for the different parties. The law talk about the importance of inspecting in general and the importance of analytical requirements, but it does not mention how to analyze and what to analyze and what kind of methods. All the details where will be shown, they will be shown in the regulation and the standards, okay? And the law will mention as well the penalties and the sanctions, العقوبات, and how to punish responsible parties after the fact. And definitely, the law will mention the power to make a rule. So generally, food law does not provide food control agencies with a clear authority to prevent safety problems, but it will build the general preventive approach, general preventive guidelines, general preventive objectives without going into the details. So to be able to know how to implement or how to manage to fulfill every single clause, يعني بنود law. So here we need to go into the standards and the regulations, okay? So that's why we say that the food law is the enabling measure, but to be able to implement, we need to check the regulations. So the regulations, so many sections in the food law contain phrases such as the Ministry of Health will make regulation to control. The Ministry of Agriculture will make regulation to control. So the Ministry of Public Health will make regulation to, let's say, to follow up with the foodborne outbreaks. But here they do not mention how they will do this. So there is a specific regulation showing how to do this, okay? So that's why regulation, they contain the detailed controls, okay? And the advantage of the regulation is that it can be reviewed periodically, it can be amended periodically. For example, with respect to the example that I just mentioned, here we should know that, for example, if there is an emerging outbreak in Lebanon, okay, concerning X bacteria and X food, so this should be added on the regulation, not on the law. The law is generally mentioning the task of the Ministry of Public Health, but the regulation will mention the details. Can you all hear me? Please, please write yes if you hear me. Azza, Farah.
Yes, doctor, yes.
Ranim. Farah, why you cannot join the poll? Okay, so the advantage of the regulation is that it can be reviewed periodically and can be easily amended, okay? So amended means adjusted or modified. So as examples of the food regulation, so we have regulations covering the composition of the food, the additives, the contaminants, the hygiene, the processing conditions, the packaging, labeling, storage, licensing. So we have regulation basically for everything related to the food. And now I pass to the inspection services, so the inspection department. So first of all, in the inspection department, we should recruit inspectors that are qualified, very well trained, efficient, and honest, okay? To avoid any kind of problem, they should be very transparent. And we should know that the inspector, the food inspector, is the key functionary to implement any law. Why he is the key functionary? Because he has the day-to-day contact with the industry. So if he cannot do his job properly, automatically all the inspection and later on consequently it will be reflected in the implementation of the law. So that's why the inspector work is very important. So what kind of responsibilities the inspection services include? Inspecting premises to see if they are compliant or not, so compliant or not to the regulation, to evaluate the HACCP and to see how to implement it in a better way, to take samples during collecting, processing, and to make observations, to identify the goods that are unfit for human consumption and to put them in a holding area or quarantine area, to recognize spoiled food through doing a simple organoleptic assessment or sensory analysis, to recognize, collect, and transmit evidence when we have any violation, because later on, if they don't have evidence or samples, they cannot go to the court to assist prosecution, to carry out all what is import-export inspection purposes, and to audit food safety assurance programs such as HACCP. So passing to the laboratory should have a capital investment, okay, and they are really expensive to maintain and to operate. So it's very important to know that laboratory does not require only the first time to be really established. It requires a maintenance for all the apparatus. Otherwise, we have many laboratories where you have like 5 to 6 apparatus not functioning because they were not maintained properly. So the laboratory facility should be equipped with accurate instruments, apparatus, and library facilities for physical, microbiological, and chemical analysis, which covers the 3 types of food contaminants. The laboratory should be standardized, يعني abiding by the same measurement tools every single time to have consistency in its work. And the laboratory should be accredited, ISO 17025. All the equipment should be calibrated. So it should be accredited by a reliable accreditation body to make sure of the repeatability of the results. So every single time we are doing the test, we are obtaining a good repeatability. So with respect to the information, education, communication, and training, so we have factual information to consumers. We need to educate and to train the industrials. We need also to educate and train the inspectors in a proper way. But these activities, they require expertise in every single field, because as we know, the fields are really multidisciplinary. So the expert in canning is not necessarily expert in beverages, is not necessarily experts in poultry processing. So that's why it's very important to have many experts in the field to deal with different types of Rana, which is ISO? Rana, what was your question?
Yeah. You said that the labs should be ISO accredited.
ISO 17025. Okay. Feel free to ask question while explaining لأنه هيك بحس حالي لحالي. So it's fine. You can ask. You can communicate normally. Okay. It's fine. بس مرات لأنه بصير عندي echo يعني. Just ask the question and then mute. Okay. So now I will go directly to talk more about the inspection approach for the processing facility. Okay, so we have the inspection should be organized. Okay, so I can tell you that what is being done in Lebanon is not what I'm going to talk about, because the inspection should be organized. We should have an approach for the inspection. There is a homework to be done before going to inspect any industry. There is a schedule for the inspection. Sometimes the inspection could be a response to a certain complaint, consumer complaint. So we have a general preparation, an opening meeting, a closing meeting, and we have different techniques to be involved in any inspection. So let's start with the inspection approach. So first of all, the inspector should know that ahead of the inspection, he should do his homework by doing what? By checking the risk factor of this company. So if I'm going to check, for example, a tahini company, I need to know that lately we do have a salmonella problem in tahini. If I'm going to check, let's say a chocolate factory, I need to know that I might face allergens problem or contaminants in this factory. If I'm going to check poultry industry, I need to know that I might have antibiotic residues in poultry issue. So here, the risk-based approach is very important because he will consider this risk-based approach while assessing or inspecting the industry. So perform a risk-based inspection of risk factors, okay? And make recommendation for improving the system. So he should do his homework that I'm going to tackle this issue, I'm going to tackle this risk while inspecting, but I need to also to propose solutions to these problems, okay? And how can I do this? Based on a HACCP approach, okay? So I will tell them to sort out this issue or this risk, you can do 1, 2, 3. And how I'm going to propose this whole solution by doing my homework, by checking other companies, how they were able to sort out the issue. But it's very important to know that everything should be confidential. And I cannot go to Tanmia and tell them that, 2 days ago, I was inspecting Hawa chicken industry and I figured out that they solved this issue by doing this. They solved the issue of salmonella by spraying quaternary ammonium on the raw poultry. I cannot do this. I'm not allowed to do this. But I can then tell them, for example, that do you think that probably if you'll sanitize or disinfect the poultry by using a food-grade sanitizer, maybe it can help you. So you can do some tries. So I can indirectly mention some examples assisting them, but I cannot give them examples based on my previous inspection. Okay? So now talking about the scheduling. So the scheduling of the inspection should be done within the facility. So I should know that how I'm going to schedule my inspection. So if they have like 10 SKUs, so they do have, for example, a line for canned hummus tahini, a line for canned tomato paste. How am I going to start? So كمان ahead of the inspection, I decide, okay, this time I don't want to inspect the 10 lines. I'm going to focus on 2 lines, okay? And use risk-based categorization to determine the frequency of the inspection. So if I'm going to inspect, for example, the same company many times, there is no need to inspect all the lines. Maybe I will focus on inspecting the lines presenting a higher risk, okay? So all the time we prioritize the risky products or the risky lines, okay? Number 3, response to consumer and trade complaints. So here we are saying that the full inspection could be done due to a response to a certain complaints. So to a certain non-compliance or a certain violation, and then I do the inspection according to this. So general preparation. So to prepare myself, yes.
I just want to ask the inspection لازم يكونوا اخدين موعد من الاندستري اللي بدهم يروحوا يعملوا لها الانسبكشن ولا بتكون sudden
Okay.
بيقولوا
هلا according to the law برا, okay, usually they inform the industry that they are going to inspect. But if you are saying here in Lebanon how we do this, we do it يعني it's a drop visit, we do it without informing the industry, okay? هون عم نحكي نحن الانسبكتور from the food control system, okay? هلا إذا عم نحكي عن inspection done by certification bodies to inspect my system, يعني sometimes I can pay for a certification body to come and audit my system to see whether I'm working properly or not. هون أكيد بتصير upon appointment, even in Lebanon. يعني if I'm working with Bureau Veritas, it's a certification body that will audit my system to see if I'm perform or not. Definitely, they will take an appointment and we will agree on the date, okay? بس هلا كل شيء بيعملوه الانسبكتورز بالوزارات بلبنان ما بياخذوا فيه date, okay؟ ما بياخذوا فيه appointment.
الكونسيومر بروتكشن بيجوا كبسات يعني لما كنا ننزل معهم.
Exactly. كله بيروح كبسات. هلا is it good or not؟ أنا برأيي إنه it's good تنعمل كبسات، بس هو according to the law إنه لا it's better to inform them and there is an approach for the inspection. لأنه برأيهم كمان إنه هيدي الكبسة بتخوفهم وما بتخليهم يتحسنوا. يعني برأيهم sometimes if you tell them I'm going to inspect your premises just to assist you, to help you. I can tell you هلا إنه the approach of the inspectors of the consumer protection exactly كان قبل completely different. يعني كانوا قبل يروحوا مثلا they do the inspection بيعملوا محضر بدفعون غرامة بفلوا. بس هلا في كتير صبايا جداد فهموا إنه نحن دورنا كconsumer protection إنه we need to clarify the issues, we need to educate them. It's very important to educate them, to show the non-conformities and to give them a time frame to adjust the system. So هيدا الشيء كتير مهم نعرفه، إنه شغلة الانسبكتور مش شغلته يخوف الاندستري بس. ما مرات مثل ما قلنا قبل إنه مرات الاندستري they don't have the know-how, or if you are inspecting let's say a butchery, or if you are inspecting a bakery, يمكن they don't have the know-how to implement food safety. So you cannot from the first side give them sanctions or penalties. So you have to train them, you show the non-conformities, and then you allocate a sufficient time to check the improvement. وهذا الشيء بعتقد هلا اللي عم يعملوه صبايا حماية المستهلك والشباب. يعني لأن كذا مرة شفتهم عن جديد قالوا لي نحن ما بنشتغل مثل السيستم القديم انه بنفوت وبنعطي انذار بلا ما نوضح. نحن شغلتنا to educate the people. مزبوط نهلا ولا لا؟ exactly Rana. if it's due to a complaint أكيد حتكون drop visit.
They
نهلا go ahead.
They try to explain to them. They give them مثل 3 warnings، يعني 3 visits. If they don't comply by the 3rd visit, the 4th visit بيكتبوا لهم محضر.
Okay, great. لكن هذا الشيء عم بحكي عنه إنه the first time they talk about the non-conformities and they give them a certain period of time to fix the system accordingly. بيجوا تاني visit وبيجوا تالت visit ما مش الحال بيعطون. Okay, so it's very important to know that while preparing for the visit we need to allocate sufficient time. يعني أنا بدي أعرف إنه if I'm going to inspect today X factory I need to allocate a full day for this factory. مش إنه أنا I pass by quickly. Number 2, I need to be well dressed. كيف يعني well dressed؟ يعني I need to be إذا بدكم the good prototype for an inspector. كيف؟ مثلا البس lab coat, okay, wearing hairnet. In Lebanon, who does the inspection? Okay, Layan. In Lebanon, I can tell you that all the ministries, they do inspection. Okay, so in the same industry, you can have sometimes a drop visit from the Ministry of Agriculture inspectors, from the Ministry of Industry inspectors, from the Ministry of Economy and Trade inspectors. So كلهم they are doing inspection. So this is not correct, and there is an overlap between the requirements of every single ministries. Okay, so there is no a clear agenda or guidelines what to implement. من هيك when everything is centralized in the food control system اللي هو هذا موجود بكل البلدان بعد عنا مش موجود. So when we have everything centralized in one food control system, so the inspectors of this food control system will inspect based on one checklist. Okay, and here you will minimize the problems of implementation. Okay, so it should be necessary to have internal inspection, right? Definitely all the time we should have internal auditing. هيدا irrespective إذا أجينا inspector أو لا. يعني على طول نحن we should do internal auditing on our system to see if everything is working properly and to be ready for any drop visit, especially that in Lebanon we are having a drop inspection system. Okay, so dressing appropriately. ليش عم لكم dressing appropriately؟ لأنه كل مرات يجينا inspectors مثلا فرد شعرها curly hair full makeup مثلا dress لبس dress يعني it's not a formal outfit, number one, and it does not have any link to food safety. So it's very important to know that in a food safety system. يعني أنا لما كان يجي صاحب الشركة كنت أقول له you are not allowed to enter the premises if you are not wearing hairnet, if you are not wearing lab coat. Okay, so you should start by yourself, and the inspector should start by himself by being dressed appropriately according to the regulation of the food safety system. So select protective devices, inspection tools and materials. Definitely he should have a thermometer. He can have a portable pH meter. He can have a polarimeter for the oil. He can have a hygrometer to check the humidity. So simple tools. He can have also a hand swabbing rapid kit just to check randomly the hygiene of the hands of the food handlers. So he should bring copies of regulation and standards. يعني if I'm going to inspect تنمية, definitely I need to have with me a copy of Lebanon standard of chicken. Out of question. Why? Because if I'm going to to tell him, you show me the microbiological results of your chicken, okay? إذا قال لي إنه نحن lately we are having like 2 CFU per 1 gram salmonella or campylobacter. So here I show him the standard. I do have an evidence with me. ما بحكي حكي بقول له لا, this is not conform to the Lebanese standard. I should have a copy with me. So here the inspector should be well prepared. So that's why it fits under the general preparation. He should take with him all the standards related to the industry. He should take with him as well standards related to the labeling. Okay, مثل ما قلت لكم إذا راح على industry فيها co-packing, so he should take with him standards related to the labeling that you are not allowed to mention that you produce the product since you don't have a line for this product, okay? So you are co-packing this product and you should mention this, okay? So evidences of standards are very important. Definitely he should take with him a copy of ISO 22000 if the industry is implementing HACCP. So لازم يكون معه كمان الHACCP updated version. So all the standards that he should bring with him should be the latest standards. مثلا drinking water لبنان standard. So في واحد قديم في واحد جديد لازم يجيب معه الجديد. Okay, he should be punctual أكيد definitely. هذا شيء very important. So opening meeting, so definitely he asked first of all the GM, the general manager, to do an opening meeting with all the managers. So they meet in the meeting room, and he started by saying that today I'm going to inspect your premises. I will start with the line of, for example, tomato paste, and then I will pass to the canning, and I will see while I will pass through the different departments. So I will start with the quality department, then with the production department, maintenance department. He will say that the objective of my inspection is mainly to see how the system is working here, and he will give so the outline as I mentioned. He will assure the management of confidentiality. He will tell them that everything will be confidential. Whenever I will see any kind of non-conformities, it will not be communicated with your competitors. So everything will be confidential. This will assure the manager, and he will ask the managerial level for a proper collaboration while doing the inspection. So he will ask the managerial level to give him the green light. And how he will do this? By assuring them that I'm here to help, I'm here to show you your non-conformities, I'm not here to give you sanctions, but if you will not abide by the regulation while giving you a tolerance period of, let's say, 1 month, then the situation will be different. But today I'm here to help you, so please be very transparent, show me all your problems, communicate with me your problems, etc., and benefit from my expertise. So this is the opening meeting. And by the end of the inspection, we will be having a closing meeting. So in the closing meeting, he will start all the time by mentioning the positive findings. And when he will finish the meeting, he will tell them that I'm really impressed by the level of the industry. The visit was really good. I'm really impressed by for example, the water treatment station that you have put in place. It's really it's amazing. وهيك بيعطي أشياء positive, and then he will discuss the non-compliance. So all the time we should start with the positive findings and then by the negative findings. So by the negative findings, he will discuss the non-compliance, okay? So he will tell them, for example, that you are using wooden pellets in all the industry, and the wooden pellets are not being fumigated. يعني عم تستعملوا طبالي خشب وما عم تعقمون. And the wood is a physical hazard, and the wooden pellets can be infected by weevils بيسوسوا. So ببلش يشرح لهم إنه ليه ممنوع تستعملوا طبالي خشب، وإذا استعملتوا how you should do fumigation, تعقمون, etc. Okay, so أهم شيء to discuss the non-conformities or the non-compliance and to agree on a corrective action plan. Okay, so بدي أقول لهم we will now sit together and we will establish a corrective action plan to improve the system. Okay, so we will discuss possible system improvements, and then we will sign the reports, and the managerial level and the inspector will sign the report, and they will assign a time frame to schedule the other visit. And in the meantime, they can schedule follow-up inspection to verify corrections. They can contact him to verify if everything is working properly. So in inspection techniques, observation is an inspection technique, but it's not sufficient by itself. Inspection, measuring, sampling and testing, questioning whom? Yani questioning the food handlers, questioning the operator. Okay, so he should know that if the food handlers, they know how to wash their hands, they know what are the CCPs, they know what is the food safety policy of the company. وأهم شيء to keep records for everything. Okay, للي ما بيعرف شو هو الريكورد، الريكورد is an evidence. مثل ما قلت لكم قبل، الفورم هو empty template، يعني حيلا فورم بتكون إذا empty اوكي منها ريكورد بس نعبيها. يعني إذا أنا عم شوف إذا if I'm checking the hygienic practices of the worker. So أنا I have a template أعطتني إياه وزارة الاقتصاد، أنا من حماية المستهلك. So لما يكون فاضي بيكون اسمه form أو template. Once I fill in the data of the industry شو صار اسمه record، صار evidence للindustry. So records are very important. So organization of the inspection, definitely we should wear protective clothing, especially if we are willing to go into the freezer. Okay, so في عنا special clothing for the freezer, tools and instruments, sampling and sealing equipment, and photographic equipment. So كتير they use cameras, they have the right to take photos لأنه photos are evidences as well. كتير مهم ياخدوا صور لأنه مرات كتير the photo is much more explanatory than writing like 2-3 paragraphs to explain a certain situation. So بتلاقوا حتى ال pest control companies اللي كانوا يجي يعملوا علينا inspection, the report is full of photos وحتى كل صورة بيكتبوا مثلا 2-3 words. So this scheme summarizes the inspection procedure from A to Z. So we prepare for the inspection as I already mentioned, based on a risk approach. And then we do the opening meeting. We go and we check the flow chart of every single product. And in parallel, while checking the flowchart of the product, we do what is called counter-flow walkthrough. So in parallel, we observe the storage, we observe the transportation, the packaging, the employees, the raw materials. And I'm checking the flowchart of the product, but in parallel, I'm checking the whole premises, the floor, the wall, the ceilings, the lighting, everything, okay, the sanitation, the pest control, okay, and then I finish by the closing meeting and follow-up inspection. اوكي شو القصة؟ Next slide.
Dr. Lana is asking if we can number the steps.
If we can what?
Number the steps.
Okay. Because I have, okay, so step number 1 is to prepare for the inspection. Step number 2 is to do the opening meeting. And 3 is the process flow chart, but step number 3 in parallel, you examine the flow chart of the product. يعني أنا بكون عم شوف مثلا إنه how we produce شو بعرفني tomato paste. I'm checking how the line of tomato paste is working, but in parallel, I check the hygiene of the employees. I check the floor. I check the equipment. I check the hygiene of the worker. So هذا بنسميه counter flow walkthrough. يعني while checking the flow chart, I'm doing a parallel another a series of observation. So step number 3 is in parallel process flow chart and counter flow walkthrough. Okay, and then the closing meeting. خلصت الانسبكشن بعمل لهم closing meeting وبقول لهم انه we are going to do we are going to establish a corrective action plan, and I'm going to do follow-up inspection visits. مثلا I'm going to come back in 2 weeks to see how you were able to sort this non-compliance. Okay, أو هيدا الissue. Fine. Rana, clear? ما بعرف ليه سلايد ما عم يمشي. طيب صبايا, I will give you I will try to open another another video, and we will start from slide 51. Okay, يلا take 1 minute break بس تخلص الفيديو ببعث لكم مسج. fine. Can you still hear me?
You are now.
Rana, can you see the numbering of the steps? Sabaya, can you hear me now?
Yes, Anna, I can hear.
مش الحال كان.
أنا سامعتك. بتقصدي ال preparation of prepare inspection.
إيه مش الحال.
Then we have inspection opening meeting, a process flow chart, at the same time we have the counter flow, then the closing meeting, and finally follow-up session.
صح. But I have a problem in the slides. ما بيمشوا مرات.
Typing is taking time to reach you messages. The instant message.